How are you?
8:03, and it's time for Island Tea. Time to spill the tea. I just finished the whole travel mug myself. Black tea, mint, and basil. What's up, guys?
Combination. Good morning,
Yes.
Jamster.
Hey,
Good morning to our
everybody.
audience.
Good morning.
That's an interesting combination. What made you choose that type of tea this morning?
Well, it was mostly coffee this week, and I thought, okay, let's do some black tea. I like my tea extra strong, so
Wow.
two black tea bags, mint and basil.
Did you put in sugar, Jamster?
Of course, sugar.
Why would you put sugar in your tea?
Why would I
obsessed
not
with
put
tea,
sugar
but
in my
that
tea?
sounds like
Sugar-
a very strong combination.
Sugar is not the enemy.
Sugar is not the enemy.
Yeah, you sound like them folks.
All things in moderation. I use honey.
Oh, non-fat this, non-fat that.
How much
Sugar-free
sugar?
this,
How much
sugar-free
spoons
that.
of sugar
I'm
did you
sure
use?
Jamster use about 5,
No, just two
2.5.
Teaspoons?
two tablespoons.
Tablespoons?
It's about 16 ounces of tea. I mean, come on.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You like your tea how you like
Sugar,
your tea.
sugar is not the enemy as long as you're getting exercise.
Mm.
The body needs sugar to run. The body needs
Yeah,
fat
you
to
need,
run.
you need some sugar,
know?
you need some fat, but you
Yeah.
don't overload it.
All things in moderation, right?
I forgot lawyers know everything.
What?
The nutritionist as well.
Good grief. The attacks have begun very early this morning. Happy
don't-
Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Do you guys do you guys believe in luck?
That's a good question. Do you believe in luck?
I do. I believe that we make it. We make our own luck.
I believe that too. Yes, I believe that.
But
we
today's
make-
St. Patrick's Day for those
Yes.
persons
Oh,
who,
it's
who
today?
celebrate.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
the
realize.
17th
Okay.
of March.
Yes.
I actually brought my green bag just to.
True. I didn't see that.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
so
did
good luck
you-
to everyone
I hope
today.
did you drink green tea as well?
I've been having tea all week, so today I opted for coffee.
Oh, you coffee person today.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm
I
having
see.
coffee.
And you know, they keep changing things in us because I saw a story last week where I tend to drink my coffee maybe half and half. Sometimes I have it black. Actually, I had it black yesterday. And then there was a whole article last week saying, oh, it's actually better to have your coffee with, because, you know, coffee has a lot of antioxidants, just
Right.
like tea, right? It's good for
Mhm.
you. I said, oh, you should have your coffee with milk because it's better. And I'm like, this is so confusing.
Mm.
Because I remember when I was in college, there was a study I saw in the newspaper where some researchers were wondering why the British, who drink a lot of tea,
Mhm.
they were wondering why the British weren't seeing the benefits from all the green tea and black tea that they were drinking. And guess what they traced it to?
What was it?
The milk. Apparently the milk neutralizes the antioxidants, all the polyphenols and the good stuff in the tea.
Yes, it's a good thing I don't drink milk then.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Not
I
a
mean,
milk
it's so
person.
confusing because here now they're telling us the coffee, they're telling us the opposite about coffee. And then last time they see this thing about bacon, oh, bacon is good for you now.
But you know what they've said about
God.
persons who drink their coffee black, right? Most likely to be serial killers.
Leave it
Think you should
Are
get
you
some
serious?
creamer to your coffee.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
it was a thing going around social media.
Okay. Well, hey, anything is possible. I mean, Hitler was a vegetarian. That's why I have my eye on Azard.
Oh my goodness.
My man.
Hitler was also born in the month of April. So, guys,
Not looking
those
good
of
for you,
guys,
Tauruses.
those of you out there who is in April, you know, we
What-
have some good,
what-
we have
what-
some.
Is it a
What month were you
Aries
born
April
again?
or a
What month were
Taurus
you? You're born in April, right?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus April.
Oh, and you seem to be
Hitler was Taurus?
reaching for these parallels, these Hitler-esque parallels. Come on now.
We'll rope him in. Don't worry. I'll take full responsibility for roping him in. So, Azard, this morning, something that jumped out to me in the news, and I think we touched on it with Vernon yesterday in our call-in, is the gang violence in St. Lucia.
Oh,
And
wow.
this morning I saw that the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines actually assigned forces to go down there to help, because on Sunday alone there were 7 killings in St. Lucia, in the southern part of St. Lucia, Viewfort. There were 7 killings on Sunday. I know the Grenada Prime Minister spoke out about it because he's now the head of the RSS. And now we see St. Vincent sending 6 policemen down there, with promises that the RSS is going to be deployed and they're going to be rotating these policemen that they've sent down to St. Lucia. And I know we touched on it yesterday, but for the life of me, I can't figure out what is spurring it on. Because for a while we had like a break in all the violence in most of the islands. And then all of a sudden this upsurge, and it seems to be that St. Lucia can't quite get a handle on it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, as you said, gang violence is something that has plagued our society for some time. I guess with the COVID-19 and the lockdowns, persons weren't able to interact with each other as much as they once did, or at all. And so that could have been one of the reasons why, the violence and violent crime went down. Of course, with COVID-19 and the lockdowns, there were more reported instances of domestic violence. But as relates to gang-related violence, I think that we did not, on the face of it, see that. And so now with everything going back to normal, you're seeing now this gang violence in St. Lucia. I don't know the reason behind the upsurge or the recent killings, but it is something that one has to pay attention when we look at Grenada. The Prime Minister of Grenada, actually, and Grenada speaking out about it, and now you're seeing St. Vincent sending in police officers.
Are we on the verge of this coming up to St. Kitts, of this traveling here? Because we did have issues with that, and I know for the most part it had quelled. But do you think that it's a trend that's catching on in the Caribbean?
Well, I would hope not, to be honest. I would hope that it's something that is not connected at all and that doesn't travel up. We know that, in Haiti we are seeing a social unrest where Jamaica Prime Minister indicated that they were sending security forces to Haiti to assist. So, we have Haiti, now we have St. Lucia. Let's hope that, persons are, because St. Lucia is the upstage in the upsurge in gang violence. You don't want it to be a situation where the violence gets out of control, that it becomes, a state of emergency in that country because persons are just acting wildly.
One of the concerns to me is the age of the persons involved. And then we saw that, they had this whole teacher-parent violence in schools. It just seems like the entire society is now angry. I don't know what, maybe like you said, it was after COVID, persons were locked down, things have changed in their lives. Maybe that is the key. But recently I've seen an upsurge of violence in every aspect almost of society, beginning with school and then now transcending over to this whole gang violence upsurge. So fingers crossed that it stays in one spot and they can control it and be rid of it. But I don't feel like we'll ever be rid of it. It's just a matter of control.
So, well, I want to think it's just mostly coincidence, just how things happen to flow. Because, it's 2 years after COVID now? Really? People having COVID, what's the word they were using? COVID derangement syndrome or whatever?
Post-traumatic.
It's 2 years since...
Did I say 2 years? Well, it's like...
Technically, 3, right? With the whole thing started in 2020 with all the lockdowns.
But then we had 2020 was basically on pause.
It's not like we're spoiled white people or anything. Why all the derangement?
It's not like
Should
we're.
leave- they
Do
should
you
not-
think
they-
that
they
spoiled
should-
behavior
they
is
should leave that for them
limited to a
folks.
race,
They
a
should leave that
race?
for them folks.
So you
You
think
know-
this is limited to a
No,
race?
no, because no. What I'm saying is, them folks, they're so accustomed to privilege and pampering and the kind of lifestyle that their ill-gotten wealth has gotten them that when the inconvenience of COVID, inconveniences of COVID hit them, they couldn't handle it because they were accustomed to a certain lifestyle.
Spoiled behavior is a matter of environment. What you learn from your environment.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily what you pick up from your race.
But you're supporting my point by while thinking you're contradicting me.
No, but I mean, there are persons of different
Yeah, I know.
race exposed to different things, different cultures, different lifestyles, and so anyone could be spoiled.
But what I'm saying is, all these incidents that they had on planes, for example, with people acting out and stuff, I think especially just after COVID, a lot of it was related to that. People were like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I need to get out the house, blah, blah, blah. And it expressed itself in certain ways. And let's face it, these folks do have a kind of warped sense of entitlement. There is no two ways around it. And you can squirm all you want. It's the truth.
I think generally speaking, this generation has a sense of entitlement.
Yeah,
So I don't limit it to a race.
Well, I'm not limiting it to.
I've
I'm not
seen
limiting it to a race. I'm just saying that, in one sense, you could understand what's going on there, but here, I mean, it's like almost 2 years after, and that's why I think it's mostly coincidence. I don't think it's necessarily related to COVID. Or it could be related to maybe things like unemployment. Maybe some people lost their jobs, and that could be part of it as well. I don't know. It's 8:14, and that story we were talking about yesterday finally made it to Loop News. That Vernon brought up about Antigua and the beach.
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go again, another beach issue. but I did see it.
But
on
look
the
at
news.
this. Antigua government says developers cannot prevent public access to beaches, and so here we have the Minister of Housing, Lands, Works and Urban Renewal, Maria Brown, said private property owners are breaking the law when they prevent members of the public from accessing beaches near their land. Brown made the comment as she responded to reports that developers at the Perns Point luxury site are placing restrictions on how and when members of the public can access nearby beaches. Go ahead, Jam, so you got a call.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning.
Hey,
morning.
hey, what's
to
up?
you and everybody.
Hey, what's up?
If there's a trend in the region, I would imagine that you would have to look for common threads in the region, throughout the region. And while we shouldn't really engage in this conspiracy theory that it might be related to the vaccine, that is certainly a common thread. Right?
You're one of those persons who believe that a lot of things are happening because of the vaccine?
I'm not one of them, but I would certainly not say categorically that it is not.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't really rule it out unless there's actual evidence to show.
Otherwise,
Yes, and remember that it was largely an experimental thing.
Yeah.
We panicked and brought it on stream much earlier than perhaps we should have. But that's just one common thread. I mean, another common thread, I would say, probably music in the region. It's similar, and it certainly has a big impact on young people, and some of the lyrics, etc., might not be conducive to a stable society. Right? It seems more revolutionary in the lyrics that they portray in its own way. Not like the revolutionary stuff that, let's say, Mali and Tosh produced, but certainly revolutionary in its own way. That's another possibility. And like you just mentioned, a common thread could also be the fact that there was rising unemployment. But isn't that subsiding now? You know? And you may say it's kind of coincidence, but it's a strange coincidence. You know? And I think a lot more research, social research, need to go into this.
You know, Mac, you make a good point, because while it sounds conspiratorial, at the same time, it's very logical. And it's very logical when you think about it. You look for common threads. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying. We're not saying it's a vaccine, but we're not saying it's not the vaccine.
Well, until proven otherwise. And,
Thank you for saying that, because I'm trying to figure out what aspect. When you say the vaccine, do you mean like there was something in the vaccine that are sending people off? Expound on the vaccination.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it is either psychological or medical reaction to something that, you know, most things that are foreign to the body, I guess, produce some kind of reaction. And sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes both. Right? There are always side effects, it would seem. And I don't think it's in the interest of, like, the pharmaceutical companies that produce these things to actually do the research. They might do preliminary research to establish that, well, it's safe up to a particular point. But it's not in their interest to do really deep down research to determine things like long-term effects and so on. You know, their motive is primarily profit. Okay, so I don't think we're going to have any answers to this anytime soon. And certainly, if it did turn out that it is something like that, you know, the implications would be enormous. So I think most governments and companies and so on have really no desire to rock the boat as is. You know, it's over. Well, practically over. Hopefully we learn some lessons on how to deal with something like this going forward. And that's it. You know? But it's certainly worth, I mean, 7 murders in 1 weekend in a place like St. Lucia, and localized to a particular area.
Yes.
That it's like that can happen anywhere. You know, because it's definitely a huge upsurge, right? So it's good that it looks like they're tackling it as a region, as opposed to letting St. Lucia deal with this on their own.
Right.
You know,
right.
It's kind of reassuring, because if, for instance, something like that happened here, at least we could be assured of help as well.
Right. We would have some backup. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you for your call. Thank you for your
Friday.
contribution.
Let's take the quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to come back with more of our chat on Island T. 8:21.
Found the sound 99.9
Need some quick extra cash? Play Pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery for a chance to win up to $40,000. Simply place your bet of $1, $2, $5, or $10. Choose your preferred draw time and play style. Then select 4 numbers or play Quick Pick. Visit thecaribbeanlottery.com for more on how to play and to see daily draw results. If your numbers match the draw numbers, you are a winner. Get your Pick 4 tickets today at the Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. Must be age 21 and over to play.
TDC for service, TDC for quality. TDC your company, TDC for for service, TDC for quality. TDC, your company. Together we succeed, building a strong community, pressing onward to our destiny. One love, one family. Together we succeed. Let the whole world see. Yes, this is 50.
And we're back. It's 8:22 Island Tea, and the chat continues.
Yeah, we spoke about the teacher and the principal and the parent in Antigua and Barbuda, and now there's the story in Guyana where two persons are charged for assaulting West Berbice teachers. A student and a relative have been charged with the assault of a secondary school teacher, Marlon Daniels. So they have been charged with assault causing actual bodily harm, damage to property. They've been charged with damage to property. The two appeared before the magistrate Peter Hugh in the Fort Wellington Magistrates Court, where they pleaded not guilty. So they are placed on bail, $15,000 bail, and they also ordered to stay 50 feet away from the victim. Both matters have been adjourned to March 30th, 2023.
This is another case of teacher violence in Guyana. And, I like what our first caller said. Mm-hmm. It's trends. And it seems to be catching fire in the region. Because I think the first instance I heard of the teacher violence was in Guyana, actually. Mm-hmm. It was in an elementary school or primary school, as we call them. And then, yesterday was the Antigua version. Now, today we're back to the Guyana version. I don't know if these people, they're reading what the other countries are doing and they're hopping on, because something is trending where persons feel that violence is the answer.
And here you see a previous article to the one that I just read in relation to the same matter. It says, teacher beaten by student receives support from education minister. And what stood out for me in the article is that after he was viciously beaten by a student and his male relative.
Good grief.
Yeah, viciously, the article says. So,
wow.
It means,
sometimes when you investigate these things, it's like a matter that could be solved through just sit down and have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But everybody, their tempers are flaring, everybody flies off the handle, and then...
But a lot of the incidents that happened in on the planes and even, stores and so, there was something that struck me as odd about it, I must say. I'm not saying, but...
What are your thoughts? I'm scared.
Well, I
mean,
no, I don't have any thoughts. I'm just saying something struck me as odd that we were having these clusters of just people just going off the reservation.
Going off the rails.
Yes.
The one on the plane was a little bit crazy too.
The one? The dozens.
The one that I'm referring to
Are you talking
was
about
the one where
Kofi?
the guy... No, where he broke the spoon. He went into the bathroom.
Oh, see, I didn't even see that one.
Broke a spoon, made it into like a shiv, and came out and tried to attack the flight attendant. And so some males on the plane had to subdue him and kind of restrain him. And he was threatening to kill all the women and children and all of this because the people were trying to land the plane in Boston. I'm trying to figure out, when you boarded the plane, didn't you know the plane was going to land in Boston? What triggered this?
But what's even more alarming is the cluster we saw sometimes during COVID and slightly after. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, and I remember thinking, this is a little... But I would probably put it on mostly maybe frustration of being locked up inside, and I would go with that first.
Right. So post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Did you
because
guys
of COVID.
read the
Occam's
article?
Occam's razor. All those Occam's razor might include vaccine. Would be number 2 on the list probably, but Occam's razor says it would be just the let's say the inconvenience caused, the derangement caused by inconvenience, and as you said,
Right.
PTSD. So yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to look for the article, but did you guys? I swore I read an article yesterday in relation to Kofi on a flight from Jamaica to
Coffee. This is, I'm like, who is Kofi? Coffee.
Yeah,
Coffee.
You need some. I'm going to give you some. I'm like, who is he referring
He needs
to?
to loosen up.
We're definitely
Coffee.
taking
I
him
thought
to
he meant
Music
coffee.
Fest.
I thought he
was
meant.
like, who's Kofi?
I thought he
Kofi
meant.
Annan.
Yeah, that's what I was
Who's
thinking.
Kofi? I did, and yes, I saw that. I meant
See,
to bring it up this morning.
That's why I
I'm
don't
going
want
to
to
give him
discuss.
some coffee.
That's why I don't want to discuss pop culture and entertainment with him, because he's not interested. And he's like, who?
Wait a minute, I'm not interested.
You know-
I just brought up the topic.
I would say, for example, hey, Burning Flame something, or
And he would
Marshall
look at you.
Montana, and he'd be like, who?
Banish the
Who's
thought.
Who's Marshall Montana?
No,
Hazard.
Jamster exaggerating.
But
You give
That story-
He's like-
Jamster inch, and he's gonna
he's
take
like-
him
he's
out.
like-
right?
He's
that,
like,
that
he's
story
like-
enraged me.
He's like,
though.
what's Netflix? Is that a snack? Is that like a
Like the time he told the firefighters that this is the first time I've met actual firefighter.
We're supposed to be having some firefighters in this morning,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be the first for me. but no, back to your coffee story. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that story really annoyed me. I think it was, she was trying to use the bathroom in first class, but she was sitting in economy, and the flight attendant didn't want her to use it, so she restrained her, and I think Coffee kind of made an uproar, and then they said, once there's like disturbance on the plane, they kind of have to deal with it and then let all the other passengers disembark because they have to calm her down, and so it became a whole thing. But my contention was, we all fly, we all travel, and of course, first class has less persons than economy. So most of the times when you get up to use the bathroom, there's already a line, 2 or 3 persons waiting to use the bathroom. And I know, I've seen it happen millions of times. If there's a long line, the flight attendant for first class, they allow you to use it. Now, granted, I guess it may be a matter where they wanted her to seek permission, can I use the bathroom? But you don't know if she has a medical condition. And forget the fact that she's a celebrity and she's Coffee and whatever. She's a human being first. And are we saying that we're restricting her from using the bathroom because she was not sitting in first class?
Maybe she needed some coffee or something.
Maybe, right? And quite frankly, I found that so appalling. I don't care about the celebrity status or anything of that nature. I'm just saying, she's a human being. She wants to use the bathroom. Obviously, she couldn't use the one in economy. It's occupied. What's the problem with letting her use the one in first class if it's not occupied? Because she's not sitting in first class? And there's so many reasons why she could, because persons were saying, her manager is to blame for this because she's in economy. What if when they went to book the tickets, first class was sold out?
I just hope she's not turning into a diva, because she's only 20, so.
I really, I hope that's not the fact.
Yeah.
But for me, I find that these airlines are getting crazy, and some of these flight attendants, they just take things to a level where it doesn't need to be. Like, I've sat in economy, I've sat in first class, and I've seen them make this marked distinction where they drop this blind, right, and they pull it across to signify this is first class. I don't even understand the point in the blind, because you can see straight through the blind or the curtain or whatever they're calling it. But it's just to show like a marked distinction.
And then when you're going onto the plane, you come through first class.
Right. So, but for me, if it is that she couldn't get into first class for whatever reason, or she chose to fly economy, because plane tickets are ridiculous right now. I
Yeah.
don't even understand the point in that.
Yeah.
Why can't she use the first class bathroom if it's unoccupied and she needs
They-
to go?
they're gonna make
What are
us-
we saying? What
we-
is the trend we're setting here?
We're going to be standing in planes soon with the subway strap.
I
you
know, just
and-
holding on
yeah.
at this rate.
And they'll have the gall to carry up the price.
Listen, they don't even give you water on the plane anymore, especially if you're flying in the Caribbean.
They might start charging
you
an
don't even
air
get a
tax.
bottle of water.
I'm sure they might start charging a tax for the air you breathe.
It's
would
getting
not
a little bit
surprise me.
ridiculous. We might have to start mutating
Or,
and sprouting wings because.
or you just get the pretzels. You
Oh God! Or those horrible biscuits. I am
Oh, you
so
know, but I
tired
actually-
of those
I
biscuits.
actually like the biscuits that they
I
give.
hate them. I'll
You
bring
do?
them for you.
What was it, the wheat thing?
Biscoff or whatever they're calling it. Like it's a
Yeah.
red. Oh God.
I prefer them to the pretzels.
Someone sent a text on about our theory about common threads. It says, if I said that when it rains on Tuesday mornings, there's an increased incidence of fighting in our high school, would my theory be dismissed, or would you say, well, maybe we should call off school if the weather forecast projects rain for that day?
I would say maybe we investigate and see if it's an actual trend.
Nah, there'd probably be
No,
other
I think
variables.
they're trying to say that you can't just link everything to everything.
Yeah.
But I still believe that the theory needs investigation in terms of what is this new trend where there's violence in schools and parents and guardians feel that it's okay to go into the schools and attack teachers. So for me, I'm trying to figure out what is causing this. If people think that it's something okay to do now, because we've never really had this happening before. So why this sudden uptick in, violence against teachers?
Yeah, but to me, this doesn't even rise to the level of Occam's razor because there could be something else at play. It could be, take for example, that on the days that it rains, maybe a staunch disciplinarian at the school maybe is absent because maybe he has to, maybe his grandmother's house leaks and he has to go on. No, I'm just thinking, I'm just
Rain
thinking on
just
my
probably
feet.
sets people off.
And the rain might not have anything to do with it directly. It could be the fact that
The
no
individual is just not there.
yeah,
because of the rain.
the no nonsense person isn't there,
Right.
and things go off the rails. It could
That's
be
an
that.
interesting
Yeah,
Theory.
addition to that.
yeah.
But to my point, I just think that everybody seems a little bit more short-tempered these days. Like you
Yeah.
can't really have a conversation with persons. You can't have somebody sit down and listen to you and try to rationalize the situation and let's move from here. Let's see how best. It's like it's either you listen to me or you take my side or you take my point or that's it. So we just all seem a little bit more in a hurry and a bit more short-tempered these days. So
Yeah.
it's
So-
burning on to other things.
But back to the planes on a lighter note. I saw that picture on Loop News with the fleet of the Intercaribbean. That looks kind of promising, right? That
Fingers
looks like at
crossed.
least 12 planes, maybe.
Fingers crossed.
I
And
mean,
maybe
look at
now
that.
we should petition them from now that they actually give us water
mean-
and some sort of snack on the plane.
I mean, look at that. Look at all
It
those
does
planes.
look
So
really nice.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm optimistic.
When are they scheduled to start? I can't remember
Let's
the
see what
start date.
let's see
Is
what
it
it
April?
says. Intercaribbean Airways in partnership with the St. Kitts Tourism Authority and Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated hosted a cocktail reception on March 14 at the Hilton Hotel in Barbados. Oh, I didn't even realize that our Tourism Authority was that involved, was that deeply involved. So that's good. To celebrate the airline's expansion in the Eastern Caribbean and new flight between St. Kitts and Nevis and Barbados, the event honored Intercaribbean's official launch of service in August 2020 in the Eastern Caribbean and marked the airline's current introduction of direct flights between Barbados and St. Kitts and Nevis, just in time for the upcoming St. Kitts Music Festival, an iconic annual event celebrating its 25th year this year. The cocktail reception was attended by many distinguished guests, including St. Kitts Minister
The
of
flight
Tourism and so
started
on.
last Sunday.
So
Yeah.
nice.
So this
I'm
is good.
anxious to try just so that I can,
This is
Test
good.
and make a comparison.
I just hope that picture, no, because this picture really makes me feel good and optimistic about, in inter-island travel. I just hope this isn't just staged just for this.
Oh my
just
goodness.
No, it's a stage. No. I don't mean it that way. I mean, like, I didn't realize they had that many planes. So, that's good. I don't mean stage in a bad way.
Thank you.
I just meant like.
You saw
I
me
just-
cringe, huh?
No. I don't mean like that. I meant like, I hope this really works out.
Me too.
Type thing.
I really hope so because,
Yeah.
and it's funny that you said that because Azard and I were discussing an article yesterday, or was it you and I? I can't keep track anymore. We were talking about what Prime Minister Skerritt said in relation to Liat. It was Jamster and I.
Oh, yeah.
But I was here when we were talking about.
I
were
think
it was a
we.
three-word conversation.
Yeah,
wasn't
kind
it?
of. Yeah, kind of.
I mean, kind of.
No,
Well, I was
last
speaking to
night-
him via WhatsApp
No,
where we were
we-
having a whole conversation about this whole Liat fiasco.
because-
And Skerritt saying,
I thought it was saying
It was a.
it was three of us.
It was a.
and then we just suddenly eliminated you, right?
Like yesterday
No.
with the camera when no one was seeing.
you guys want me to play it, or we just want to?
Let's have a listen.
Okay, I haven't. Okay, I have to
Since
set it
I
up. Let's take a
wasn't
call in the
fully
meantime.
part of the conversation.
Yeah, but I did send it to him as well. Let's get this call and hear the call. Hey, caller, go right ahead. Alan T.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, go
Hey,
on.
good morning.
Yeah, I was trying to understand what your post caller was trying to do. Blame the upsurging violence and the vaccine?
I think he was trying to make a connection.
Huh?
He
I think
thought
you're-
that it might have been a cause, one of the causes for the upsurge in
So
violence.
who tell him that who committing the crime vaccinated?
That's a
Because
Exactly.
everybody vaccinated.
But he never said that. That's an oversimplification. That's not what he was saying. He was just.
No, but why he used the vaccine and say it could be the vaccine?
Well, he
because
listed
crime was going
several
on before the
things.
vaccine.
He listed he
Listen.
listed a couple of things. I think because one of the things we were saying is that, maybe with COVID and persons being locked down. So, but the caller was saying maybe it's the vaccine, maybe it's
Because it is one of the common
But
threads.
As far as I can tell, St. Lucia had the crime problem before vaccine. And so to him say, God there, it's something to put out in people's mind. Because St. Kitts, okay, look at the upsurge in violence in St. Kitts. Is the vaccine too? St. Kitts had upsurge of violence before the vaccine also.
Well, that's one of the things we were saying. We were trying to, we were just basically having a conversation trying to figure out what's causing it. So nobody really knows, and it could be several factors.
I'm scared to actually leave my house now.
Oh, no.
You're having armed robbery almost every day now. Yes, this thing ain't just St. Lucia alone. You have me right here in St. Kitts. I'm actually scared. The business people them know they are scared to operate. So this upsurge in violence was happening way before COVID in St. Kitts and Nevis. He had slowed down, and now he's back up. So let's see why he back up, because he was down.
Right.
And
So
it had
it
nothing to
needs
do with COVID, because he was
investigation.
down before COVID.
So in your opinion, it's something else that's triggering it?
It must be something else. I just say, I believe one of the things is a sense of entitlement. And I will tell you this, I believe democracy have a lot to do with it. And sometimes you need strong leaders who make strong decisions. Sometimes you take away people's right for their own good.
Are you
I think
proposing we
democracy
move
has
from
a
a
lot to do with what's going on.
democratic
I will tell
society?
you that much.
What are you proposing? Authoritative government? What are you proposing?
Let me, like for instance, you see, a lot of these guys, these young guys on the streets, right? You drive through the island, you see, most of them, they got a weed in their mouth, and they're doing nothing, wasting time. But if you decide, man, you got to do something, you got to be productive. Some of them there, they say they earn some kind of peace, and they hardly want to work. But you got to work and eat. And when you realize the value of hard work, I assure you don't get yourself in no criminal activity. Because you ain't going to take up your hard-earned money to go pay no liar. For nonsense.
Be too busy working.
Right, so I honestly feel like the government have to make young people, you got to work, just like from certain age to certain age, you got to be in school. You got to be working. You 25 years and you find this kind of social service program. It ain't make no sense. 25, 19 and them thing there. No, man. You got to get up and go do hard work. Look at what's going on in St. Kitts. You ain't see no immigrants going around Pampep. Eh? You ain't gonna see no Guyanese or Jamaican and them Pampep. Or Pampis. You ain't see no Spanish man Pampep and peace. Democracy is one who have the place in this kind of mess. Democracy. Because most of the politicians they want to vote. So they do anything to get a vote. But the thing is, you got to govern. And they choose not to govern because when you govern, you're going to rub some people wrong.
But to me, that's a bit of a leap to say democracy is a problem. I mean, they have problems.
This thing would happen. This thing like this, as simple as you got it, you look at a place like Iraq, Assad Iraq, it needs to happen like that. As Gaddafi, Libya, it needs to happen like that. You had peace, people had peace.
Yes, but
look at these African countries where you have a little strong man. You got peace.
Yeah, but I don't think that
in terms of nobody they're raised up against what's going on. Democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody like freedom, and you got a right to this and you got a right to that. But I also got a right to put down my thing anyhow I want, without somebody taking it up. You don't tell me no, I got to spend extra money for security because a man will come in my house and take my work. I got a right to leave my house open too, if it's that's the way we're going. Because my house, if I work hard for what I have a right also to put down my thing and go and say, lock me door. That's my right also. If you got a right to come in and take it up because they protect you.
Okay.
I think everybody will have their own theory as to what is causing it. And that's, for me, that's what makes the topic interesting. Because there's no right or wrong answer to what's causing it. Everybody will see it from their position. So,
well, I know it's laziness causing it. Laziness. And then from laziness, you become lawless because you're lazy. You become lawless. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Interesting view.
So,
interesting view.
So let's hear what Prime Minister Skerritt has to say. In fact, it was a Dominican friend of mine who sent it, and he felt that he actually felt that he was saying some things that he said he seemed to be implying that regional government should be sinking more money into LIAT, even though nothing is going to change structurally about LIAT in terms of their approach to maybe making the service more efficient and profitable and stuff.
Do we want to use the word sinking though?
And he's saying it's a public good, so we should just go ahead and continue losing money. That's what he's saying.
But you know, from to his point though, the way I see it is, and what I shouldn't say what I understood from what he said was that we shouldn't let the Caribbean be overrun with just private entities running the airlines. The government should still have a stake, have a say, just because it shouldn't all be private owned, right? Because at the end of the day, it's hard to control a private owned airline as opposed to a government owned airline where your citizens are going to be benefiting from it. So I think he was saying that we shouldn't give up completely on LIAT. We should try to see how best we can preserve it. At least that was my interpretation. So let's hear what he actually says, and then we can move from there.
We're having two interpretations from the same clip.
Because intra-regional travel is a public good, and the private entities will only fly routes which are commercially viable. But will his government put its money where its mouth is?
This is affecting all of us so badly. You understand? And our economy is in a dramatic way that since the departure of LIAT from the regional scene. Okay, and I'm saying that Dominica is prepared to, as we've met, and we're prepared to play our part financially. But you absolutely need a construct like LIAT that will be complemented by the private sector airlines to give you the kind of service that you really need in these islands.
The comments from Prime Minister Skerritt are almost a replica of what Prime Minister Brown told ABS News in a recent interview.
I'm of the view that the OECS sub-region in Barbados should have a public sector entity to form the core of regional transportation, and that airline whatever it is called, could be supplemented by the private carriers. One of the risks that countries in the region run by relying almost extensively on private sector entities is that they will not operate on profitable routes. And if they do so, it will be at an extortionate cost.
So two prime ministers on one accord on the way forward. Can they get more buy-in from their other sub-regional colleagues? And would this consensus translate into tangible investments? Or will turbulence continue to affect regional transportation?
Thank you so much.
So yeah,
so you can weigh in now.
Yeah, so basically, what I'm seeing now, he's suggesting is that, I guess, with commercial airlines, that they're going to only go to the routes that are profitable, and that government should bite the gun. Sorry to use that word.
Bite the bullet.
Bite the gun?
Yeah, I think it's been a very long week for me.
What? Maybe let's blame it on an article he might have been reading.
I think it's been a very long week for me.
Bite the gun.
So they should bite the bullet, and they should even if it comes at a cost, that they should sacrifice and make sure that, because interregional travel is just that, for the greater good.
Right.
I could see some merit in what he speaks about. I could see some merit in what he's talking about, and so I think it's a give and take. It depends on how much of a loss you're willing to take.
Because they have been investing in Liat. We have not been necessarily benefiting.
This is generating a lot of calls.
But we can't just put it completely to the private sector.
Yes.
What they're saying is that you can have both, right? So that way you have the government still having a handle on it, and of course to the benefit of their citizens, and then private sector bringing in more. So you'll have more planes, more routes, maybe cheaper prices, because now they're not monopolizing the sector.
So and it could be a little of something where it is that, for the other routes, maybe it is you have private and you have government operating in the same space, and where private may think that, okay, these routes would be unprofitable. Right. That's what government
takes up the slack.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't like it. It's kind of giving, like I was telling you guys. To me, it's giving. Well, it's a public good, and Gilead has perennially lost money, and I think we're gonna just have to accept Gilead losing money going forward, because some of these.
You ought to. I mean, it could be that, yes, it's going to be a loss, but in the way in which you try to make some cuts so the losses are less. I mean, as we were saying before, with the employment, you can oversaturate the employment of persons at the airline.
Yeah.
And then, so salaries are high, but then you still have to ensure that you meet other expenses.
But to Jamsta's point, what I didn't like when I heard the article just now, again, was that he said there won't be any major structural changes. That means...
And this is from Gaston. Who said that? Gaston?
Scarrett. Are we keeping the same CEO, the same staff? Are we going to operate in the same manner that has been causing us to lose?
Thank you.
You can't start off by saying that there are not going to be any structural changes, because obviously the way you're operating is not necessarily working. And then if the private sector is going to come in and they're going to bring more planes and more routes, then who's going to support the business if you're not planning to change and come on, with good competition? I think we have a call.
Okay, we have a caller.
Yeah, James, we want you to run this thing just like how Backup used to run it. You are going to look out for the callers, People spending money.
We are.
Anyway,
we are.
Watch you. The caller said you just talked before. The man. He's so right. We need strong leadership, but he went wrong. He got a lot of immigrants and pep and step. So he wrong with that part there. The problem we have with these young people is the parenting. They go to the school and they strengthen the children to disrespect these young.
Seems we
I,
lost
I
the
think
caller.
you mentioned that earlier in the week, right? Yeah. So to his point, yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
Children learn what they live. If they see that that's how the parents, deal with problems.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know what? Let's take a quick break. Get some of these commercials out of the way, and then we can come back and continue this.
Hello, this is Harper.
You got a clock, you got a chair, you got some headphones.
Yep, we got that.
What about a stapler and printer?
Yep, we got that.
Do you have a floor mat too?
Yep, we got that.
Tell me you got some cables and a projector.
Yeah, we got that.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
8:53, and we're back on Island T. So, about this Leah thing, we can't continue doing the same crazy stuff and expect different results. I mean,
Insanity, right? The
yes.
definition of insanity.
Is that
Yes.
Einstein?
I don't even remember who said that. Let's take another call.
It was.
Call, go right ahead, Island T.
Hello, good morning again.
Oh, hi.
Good morning.
I mean, like the rain and the layer things, because there's something I think we are missing, the government tax and traveling, which is a large portion of the tickets.
Right.
Have they ever tried to remove the tax and see if it can work? Because look at the United States, they does not have a national carrier. England does not have a national carrier either.
Well, they do actually. British Airways British Airways is owned by the
It's not a national carrier.
majority
It
owned
is
by
not.
the UK.
Huh?
It's majority owned by the UK government.
It's not a national carrier. That's what I'm saying. Timber is not a national carrier. British Airways is not the national carrier of England.
Okay.
And United States does not even have a national carrier either. All these airlines, and so they are privately owned.
But this is
So if the government try to remove the taxes and try and see if the private sector could work, because I mean, to take up good money and train is something that you know you're going to lose. To me, it doesn't make much economical sense.
Right.
Because if the business between the islands generate enough income to offset that loss, I could understand that. But to just throw in money and you're going to lose money, it doesn't make no sense if you ain't going to get no annual return. Government will also run similar to a business. You don't just throw good money at bad things.
Exactly. If you're not going to change anything, why should we keep pumping money into
exactly.
it?
Yes, so let's try and move the taxes. That the landing tax and all that government charge.
I have said
let's
that.
try and remove that and see if it can work. If it ain't work, you put it back on.
Exactly, just for
At least try
period.
that.
I have said that for many
Maybe
years.
Azard can weigh in on this
What's that?
in terms of your experience and your background. If you remove the landing taxes and all of those taxes, will it have an
you
effect
mean
on
that,
the way the
well-
entities run the airport?
Well, I mean, these taxes, government would get the taxes them so they could, I guess with the
Upkeep.
overall upkeep and what's not. I mean, I have wondered myself because when you look at the price of the tickets and you look at the government tax that you pay on the tickets, if those were to be removed, then you feel as though that you will be able to travel.
I mean, as
much frequently.
I remember I told you this before she joined us. Pretty much the same thing. At least take it off for a period, maybe during
See how it is.
and see what happens.
But
Let's take another call.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Another call. Wait. Okay. Caller, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Firstly, British Airways is a private company. It is not owned in part or in whole by the British government.
Okay, I guess I was misled on that one.
Secondly, the taxes that are paid, when we compare taxes paid in the region, or let's use specifically think it, leave it, and paid elsewhere, it's a matter of scale. More aircraft land and take off from LaGuardia in an hour than land and take off from St. Kitts in a week.
Yep.
And so therefore, the amount of income generated doesn't have to come in the high taxes. The taxes that are paid, these landing fees and other things, are monies that end up with Casper to run the airport. The cost of running an airport is significant.
It's expensive.
The scanning devices that are required in order to meet FAA requirements.
Yep.
The security, the lighting, the fencing of a perimeter of a runway that is 8,000 feet long.
To ensure the maintenance of the runway so the planes will land and take off.
We cannot just say, if we remove the taxes that are charged on travelers, we are now asking the ordinary people of St. who never go beyond getting on the boat to go to Nevis to fund people traveling in and out of St. Kitts. And so simply saying take off the taxes may sound like a quick fix, but it will not significantly change because the carriers that come to St. Kitts are asking themselves, do I have the traffic? Going at this so-called public-private partnership.
But then it's a catch-22 because maybe you don't have the traffic because because the taxes are high, and we keep going around in a circle, a dog chasing its tail.
Situation. It is probably a catch-22 situation, no doubt about it. The taxes to go from St. Kitts to Antigua are greater than the taxes to go from St. Kitts to Miami. One fully understands that, but the taxes themselves alone are not the factor. In the case of LIAC, I don't think, I think it deserves it. The government of Antigua thinks that LIAC deserves to live, let it live. But LIAC, in its old format, was unsustainable and shall be unsustainable if it is revived. It will simply be, Jesus was allegedly resurrected after 2.5 days. He was crucified again. If we put LIAC, we will simply be asking for a resurrection of LIAC every few years if we keep its existing model. It won't work.
True that.
We need private enterprise in the region. We need the individual governments to do away with this nonsense of saying, I'm protecting myself and limiting carriers. If private airlines decided, look, I want to exclusively carry people from St. Kitts to Dominica, give them the permission. If it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work. But to be pumping taxpayers' monies into these things and yet leaving St. Kitts and Dominica and St. Vincent, etc., with millions of dollars of uncollected fees over the years, and simply saying, write those off and let's start again. And from afternoon number 3, you start building up debts all over again to be written off in 2028. That's not a sensible way to run. Yes, we, because of the proximity of our islands to each other, because of our small populations, the cost of travel within these areas is far greater than we would like it to be. It is cheaper for people to come to the Caribbean from North America and Europe than for Caribbean people to travel amongst themselves, unfortunately. But simply saying, pump money into LIAC, run for the government of Antigua and its popularity isn't the solution to Caribbean travel. I think it is opening up the airline, opening up the airways to allow small carriers to travel between islands. How come this new airline that said, look, we know lots of people in St. Kitts want to go to Barbados every week for visa applications and other activities. they're already traveling further. You don't now have to, in order to get to Antigua, first flight to Tortola, then St. Martin, and to Antigua. It takes you 3 hours to get to Antigua from St. Kitts. When you can, in an hour, get to Barbados. A lot more to be said, but there'll be another time for that. Have a pleasant day.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for your
Have a good
weigh-in.
day.
I don't know if you guys realize that you noticed that this meeting was held in Barbados and was spearheaded by Barbados and St. Kitts. So clearly Barbados is not going to be pumping any more money into Leah.
But I think it's something that we're
that
all
inter-Caribbean
in
thing,
agreement
yeah.
with.
Mhm.
If you're not going to change anything, you're not going to change the way you operate, you're not going to change your structure, why are we going to be putting more money into it? Yes, we shouldn't have the sector completely overrun by private-owned enterprises, but how can we justify pumping more and more money into something when you're not prepared to make any structural changes?
Yeah.
And that was the most concerning part of his statement for me.
Yeah.
Because I definitely agree. I don't think we should have the sector monopolized by private entities.
I agree.
I always believe in a balance. But is it going to be a balance when you're not changing anything and prices aren't going to go down and your operations are...
But the caller makes a good point. Maybe the problem with the unprofitable routes.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get private operators and you say, okay, you want to do the connecting flights to these small routes, maybe Anguilla, Statia, that type of thing. I think that could work. And if it doesn't work, then we look at another solution. Maybe the government could subsidize them, possibly, just like the government subsidizes the flights coming in from coming in from the States. They could probably subsidize the guy with the little 6-seater, 9-seater type thing.
We definitely need more options at the end of the day, because
exactly.
Caribbean travel has become a nightmare.
Yeah. Let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I love when the numbers people
God
call.
thanks, man. It's great to be alive. I was praying for some rain and I hear some now.
Amen. Well, thank you, Sylvine.
Yeah, man, because it is getting warm in the night.
Yes, yes.
So we give God thanks for the rain. And now we're afraid of rain, because we make out the paper. Until we hit North America, right?
Yes.
Then we go in snow.
Yep, right, without complaints.
Now, I want to ask a question. Are we paying into Caribbean to come here?
I would not want to sit and think that they're not benefiting
Or if you
from
don't have the
coming
answer,
here.
maybe somebody could. Mr. McMahon, good morning.
It seemed to be implied by the first story about St. Kitts exploring them providing connections for us. Just by reading the article, you got that impression. I mean, why would it be any different? We don't know, obviously, but I mean, why would it be any different to say American Airlines and
Because
the others?
that is it. Because I'm coming to that same thing. Because we could do a little match with a little calculator. How much are we going to pump into Caribbean as against what we could have given? Some concessions we could have given to Liat.
More?
And I heard Honorable Marsha. Good morning, Honorable Marsha. Sister Marsha, good morning. Here we are going to... Have you been at the airport when these jets come in?
You mean the new ones, or just generally speaking?
Do you have any idea about the capacity? Because she said, whether they come full or not, we pay them. That to me don't make sense.
Good. So that's okay. So that's happening then. Okay. So now we know.
It don't make sense, because if they're going to come full, then they have no empty seat to claim on. Because they were saying in the prior government, or the previous one, they weren't paying. So I am saying, if you're paying them, there should be a limit. If you find out by after 3 months, you are able to fill the seat yourself, why should we be paying? Because you see, we have to do the calculation. How much are we pumping in? Sorry about the noise. How much are we pumping into the American Airlines, or wherever they come from, as against pumping it into Liat? Because I don't think we do the calculation. What we pump comes from the Treasury. So maybe, as somebody suggested, you could say, all right, for the next 6 months, eh? Because you have music festival and Nevis, whatever. We will allow you to reduce the taxes. And the money that you're pumping into some of these airlines, you divert it. When you discover that they're able to fill their own seats, then you cut back on how much you're giving them. So that is it, because we can't be sustaining other people's things.
But
and
to your point, Sylvie, though, if
private
it is...
sector, it could be, you could have local private sector, Caribbean private sector.
True.
Because what we're getting is foreign. True. And are we advertising the Nevis airport enough? Cape Air goes in there, Cape Air goes from St. Thomas and Puerto Rico into Nevis. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yes, our listeners in the Virgin Islands, you don't got to suffer. You go to Nevis to take the boat. If you don't want to take the ferry, you take the fast boat. So that is how we should be dealing with it. But I want some calculation as to how much we are pumping into these foreign airlines. All right, then. Thank you. Have a good, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
to you.
Good
But
day,
something that she said just now, I wanted to ask her a question about it, where she said, we're pumping into the foreign airlines, but then we find out that they're able to fill their seats. So obviously they're doing something on their end to be able to fill their seats. Can we say the same thing for Liat? Because we've been pumping and pumping and pumping into Liat, but nothing is changing. So for me, if I'm an investor, I would feel like, where's my return? What am I getting for all of this money that I'm pumping into Liat? What's the benefit to me? With American Airlines, we see that they have at least 3 flights coming in, daily.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, it's 9:08. We gotta get a quick word from Tapwater Caribbean. They're the sponsor of this day part, and then we're gonna come back and continue the conversation. The phone lines are ringing off the hook.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tapwater Caribbean and Espol Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
Queen of Bacchanal, everybody say.
Hey, we're back. We're back on Island Tea, and one of the things, this airline thing is generating a lot of discussion, because I got Richard shared some fares with us, which actually look pretty reasonable,
pretty
right?
decent.
Yeah. So we were moaning about the taxes and so on.
And they seem to be covering some of the same routes that Liat is covering. So.
But someone asked, and if anyone can call us and tell us, that would be great. Someone asked if there's an Inter-Caribbean office that we can physically go and buy tickets in town. It would be nice if someone can share that with us, because this seems to be generating a lot of interest. People clearly don't want to.
Because we're all been affected by the whole Liat fiasco, to be perfectly honest. I shared with you my trip to Trinidad, and when I was trying to leave St. Martin, usually when you buy a ticket, the taxes are included. I was charged an airport tax, a government tax, after checking in. So I said, well, isn't it on the ticket? Because I wasn't charged any for Caribbean Airlines. I wasn't charged any when I left St. Kitts. No, when it comes to St. Martin, Liat doesn't put the taxes on the ticket. So there's me. I have a whole ticket that I bought, return. I have to go separately and pay $63 US in taxes just to leave the airport.
But why is that?
When you bought the ticket, you probably thought, wow, I got a steal of a deal.
No, I didn't actually, because it wasn't that cheap. But, I wasn't charged any taxes from leaving St. Kitts. I wasn't charged any with Caribbean Airlines when I left St. Martin, when I left Trinidad. So when I'm trying to leave St. Martin for the second time now to come home, they hit me with the $63 US tax, and I'm like...
And when you think about this, maybe $158, $106, it's not that bad, really. But still, it would have been nice if you
But it's
had
usually
paid
included
upfront.
in the ticket.
Exactly.
So when you're hitting me up for extra 60-something US, I'm like, what? What's happening here? So, of course, I asked the question, and then she goes, well, we're Liat and St. Martin Airport that doesn't have an agreement per se, where the taxes are included in the ticket.
We have a call, Candy.
Caller, go ahead.
Yes. I think what would help with the problem initially is to have a two-tiered system. Okay, we asked why would we subsidize flights from North America and Europe, etc. Well, the answer to that is clearly the passengers on those flights usually have a multiplier effect. So the economy, the state or high-end hotels that, the eat out and so on. So there is a ripple effect, more so than intra-regional travel. Okay? That justifies, I think, making sure that we have those routes. It's just like we'd put money into whether music festival or carnival because of the ripple effect of these things. Okay? But a two-tiered system, I think, would help in the sense that the reason they use for all these fees, these taxes, is that operating an airport is expensive, especially now, where you have all sorts of security arrangements and so on. And if you had a two-tiered system whereby for international flights, you have you have to follow the international rules, okay, and the security rules, etc. But for intra-regional travel, you just do away with those, right? In other words, look at the model of St. Kitts and Nevis, travel communications between St. Kitts and Nevis. You realize that since, for instance, the large ferries, we downsize from that to smaller, more efficient boats, that communication has improved drastically. Okay, and it's the same thing for air travel. If, for instance, we didn't have to, apart from just showing ID, we didn't have to go through all the kind of security stuff and so on, probably a magnetometer because we don't want guns to travel as well. But apart from that, you just go buy your ticket, walk through a magnetometer, and that's it. And go to your region, show an ID, and that's it. In other words, make it easy, right? And use smaller, deregulate the whole industry, because there's no reason why you should have a 60-seater aircraft traveling between Antigua and St. Kitts or St. Martin and St. Kitts, right? Those types of aircrafts are better used for long-haul flights. In other words, just use small planes for anything under, let's say, 30 minutes and under, right? And leave the larger, the longer flights for the bigger airlines.
I try to make it more cost-effective anyways, right?
What? They what?
The smaller ones for shorter flights would make it more cost-effective anyways, right?
Of course, the operational cost is small. You don't need an air hostess, not even a baggage handler. You've traveled between here and Tortola, and the pilot essentially was the baggage handler as well. With small planes, you can do that, right? And so that would bring down costs, right? But you see, I'm not so sure that they want to go that route, and we, I think, are spoiled in the sense that everybody likes to travel on a big plane, right?
I think you have
wonder
a
how
point,
much-
though, because I
Uh-huh.
was looking at an article on the news earlier this week, and they were saying what you just suggested. They were saying is how budget airlines have been able to survive. Airlines like Spirit and Frontier, and those airlines, they've cut back on staff. The same person that, checks you in, goes out, goes to the plane. That person may be the same person loading the baggages on the strip that takes it to the plane. And then, lo and behold, that person might be the same person flying the plane. So they've cut back on employees, and they've been able to keep these budget airlines.
To about, I think it's 19 passengers or something like that.
Right,
You have to
right.
have 2 pilots, for instance, instead of 1. But for short haul flights, 15, 20, 25 minutes, you can do those things, which would definitely have an effect on operating costs and low ticket fares. But I think we're too protective. Certainly we were too protective of LIAT. Didn't encourage that kind of entrepreneurship, because you could have started an airline with one plane and one pilot, and but our regulations, existing regulations, I don't think would allow that. And I would have thought that it's important to keep regulations for safety reasons, obviously.
Right.
Okay? You must regulate the industry like that. But I'm saying that those kinds of things are too cumbersome. The high operating costs make it cumbersome for regional travel. So they absolutely have to do something about that. But I don't, I wish Inter-Caribbean well, but I'm not so sure that following the LIAT model is going to work. It's been tried, tested, and it has proved to have failed. So I don't know that would work. But we'll see. But we really need to do something about the thing. We've been wringing our hands about it.
Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown seems to have no intention of changing the way they do things. So
and it's probably for sovereignty reasons, LIAT, because I think Antigua regarded LIAT as their national airline.
Yes.
To
an extent,
so letting go of that is pretty tough, and everybody wants to have, just like how all these small islands want to have an international airport. Is that you can't tell Dominica not to develop one? You can't tell St. Vincent not to develop one. Okay, it's almost a part of the national psyche to have that to present to the world. Okay, even if it doesn't make sense. Next thing you can find, Nevis probably want an international airport. They've been calling Grand Marie International before anyway. Every little dot is going to want an international airport, whereas the hub and spoke is more suited for a region. But everybody, it's part of the insularity. That is an exact fallback from the insularity of everybody wanting to have their own thing, their own national airline, they own everything. And I don't think if you don't have cooperation between the islands, I think air travel is going to continue to be as expensive as it is. I don't know. And I think you mentioned there should be other options. Other options should include sea travel as well, right? Because I recall my first introduction to all the islands in the Caribbean, the British-speaking islands, was on by boat on the federal boat. Okay, left during school holidays, going right down the chain of islands and going off to Jamaica, etc. I don't know how you get our people now in St. Kitts introduced to the other islands. You can't expect them to travel here from here to Barbados. If you want to go to St. Vincent, you have to take a connecting flight, etc. that's expensive. Okay, unless you had Leah, I think at one time had like a regional fare where you can island hop. I don't think any of the airlines are doing that now. You can island hop, stay 2-3 days, and then hop back on and go to another island.
No,
Things like that are what's needed, and we're not. So I don't know. I don't know how you all, for instance, who are much younger, was introduced to the other islands, assuming that you've been to all of them. I could imagine the nightmare of, having to do like one island for one vacation as opposed to 3 or something like that. I don't know how you do it, but something like that is what's needed. Otherwise, we're going to remain as separate and as separated as we are currently.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
9:22. Let's
Thank you
get
so
a
much
word.
for your call.
Yeah. We're going to get a quick word from Tapwater Caribbean again, and we'll be back. And just reminding everyone that Fireproof comes up at 9:30 with the fireman.
The first episode of Fireproof.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tapwater Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
And we are back. It's 9:23, and there were some other things that we were conferring on yesterday. Let me see if I can find.
While you look at that, one of the things that the caller said before we went to break, that struck out at me was that if we don't unite, if we don't cooperate, and that's the problem with Liat, right? Gaston and Scarrett are on one arm, and then the other heads are on another hand saying...
And some are not saying anything at all.
True, right? So the problem is that there's no unity where that is concerned, so we're going to continue to suffer. Because if you can't hold one head, and then I think some of them were actually accusing Antigua of when they did hold one head and pump money into it, Antigua tried to take over and monopolize it.
And they started
because
Antigua
like the
Airways
caller
as
did
well.
say, Antigua feels like Liat. It was theirs, just solely theirs, their national airline. I don't see how we're going to solve this if they can't come to a general consensus.
Well, like I say, you can tell from that inter-Caribbean meeting in Barbados, you can see that the others are not having it. I mean, just see St. Kitts stepping up like that, and Barbados, they're not having
because
that.
Because we don't want to continue doing the same thing to get the same result.
I want to squeeze this in. Dominica named on CNN's list of 25 most beautiful places. They're the only Caribbean country on the list. And,
wow.
Yeah.
I did see that article, and
my
Dominican friends were so happy. They were like, yes, you need to visit. Da, 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 da. But I do need to visit Dominica. I've only just stopped over like in transit.
I was inquiring to see because when I saw the article, I was inquiring.
What made them on the list?
Yeah, and in addition to, I was saying, let me see if it is that this is a Dominica feature.
Right?
Let's see if St. Kitts is on it as well.
Nah, only Caribbean.
St. Kitts wasn't on it.
Only I'm checking to see the other countries on the 25 most beautiful places. Let's see. My Dominican friend, I sent this to him, and he said he was a little upset because he said he thinks, and I agree with him. He said he thinks these lists are inherently subjective.
Well, yeah, all lists are subjective.
Everything, right?
Yeah, that's subjective.
Because he's saying, I'm Dominican and whatever, but come on.
Who created the list?
So Kenya, Samburu, Kenya, what number is that? It doesn't have a number listed. Is it number 1? Morocco is listed. That crazy park in China where they have this
bridge
walkway that's insane on a precipice, like
that's
on the side of
too?
that's listed. It's
look at that only on the screen.
Changjiajie National Forest Park in China. Then we have Halong Bay in Vietnam, El Nido in the Philippines, Rotorua in New Zealand, Katajuta in Australia, the Maldives, Petra in Jordan. Oh yeah, that's that
Rock
place in Jordan.
formations.
Yeah, and where they have all these old buildings from those old civilizations and stuff. Atacama Desert in Chile. Yeah. I think that's one of the areas where they're doing a lot of lithium mining as well. You know, Chile is a big exporter of lithium ore. So the Atacama Desert is one of the places where they get that. Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve in Costa Rica, Ciudad Perdida in Colombia, Dominica, only Caribbean island, and Svalbard in Norway, Lake Bled in Slovenia, Cappadocia, Turkey.
But
Positano,
what were they
Italy.
pushing for Dominica that made it hit the list?
It's
For
probably
listeners
the nature island thing, I think. That's what they had mentioned. I mean, Dominica is really gorgeous looking. Huh? I mean, I would really love to visit. Lake District in the
is
UK.
beautiful.
Interesting.
It is
Lake
beautiful.
District. That's nice. Plitvice Lakes National Park in Croatia, Vancouver Island, Canada. Cool.
Good morning.
Good morning. Denali National Park, Alaska. But it's time for Fireproof. And the firemen are here, rearing and ready to go. It's 9:28. That starts in 2 minutes.
Thank you, Jamster.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Don't forget your microphones, your headphones. Okay, good morning.
Welcome.
Morning. Thank you.
So, correction, Azard. I actually know both of these guys from school. So,
Oh, you do, but this is the first time you've been here on Fire Talk.
We were saying that, I've never met a real life fireman. And that was, the two of them were teasing me earlier this morning. But I think
that
I
makes two
actually
of them.
know them. Probably before even you.
Yeah. Listen, she's been.
Welcome, guys.
She has been wondering, who are these firemen? Joking.
I remember Timothy very well from school.
Everybody knows Timothy. Everybody knows Timothy.
I'm not going to say how I remember him, right?
Yes.
But let's just say I know Romel as well from school.
Yes.
Two completely different personalities.
Romel seemed like he'll have been the quieter one.
Yes.
I plead the fifth.
You are so correct.
It's when you under the bus.
We know you.
Timothy, you've officially been thrown under the bus. You need a fire.
So another fire-free week, I hope.
Yes.
Yes, good. Yes.
Not too free, but not as hectic as expected.
Okay.
We are presently in our peak, what we consider our peak fire season.
I hope it's just like cat rescues and stuff. Right?
It has been relatively slow, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my! But Romel, I hear congratulations are in order.
Indeed.
Yes.
So congratulations on your promotion.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
You want to tell us about it? Because we haven't said what that promotion is.
Not much. I really came here to talk fire.
Yes.
You can talk about that for 30 seconds. It's part of fire, exactly.
Don't even
It's two. Hey, don't try arguing with two lawyers.
No, I'm not arguing at all.
This is effectively throwing you under the bus now.
Yeah.
And Timothy had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing.
Timothy is my friend.
So, the department is basically going through a transition period. I was recently installed on Monday as the acting fire chief.
Congratulations.
Kudos.
Yeah, so hopefully later on the show we'll be able to talk more in depth about that. Right now I'm not fully prepared to really,
Fair enough.
I could.
We'll bring you back.
I could, but I much prefer to get some fire talk.
Leave it at another.
We'll bring you back.
We can. But we just wanted the persons out there to know,
Yeah, I think they know. Trust me.
Good news travels fast.
Good news travels fast.
Yes.
So tell us what your week has been like. You said it hasn't been completely fire-free?
No, we've had a few bush fires. Like I said, it's not like normal. March is normally hectic.
Wow.
That's where we have our usual increase in fires. In comparison to the other months, March could easily reach up to like 30 to 40 something fires just for March alone, compared to maybe February or January that might just record 10.
Right, because the temperatures maybe...
Yes, the temperature begins to, rise around that time. And that normally lasts straight through the summer. But I'm hoping that this time around... March, the numbers are still low in comparison to past years. So I'm basically hoping and praying that it stays that way.
Right, but the temperatures have been different this March because there've been a lot of climate changes overseas, and of course we're still being affected by that because I know one caller called in and said, the nights are now getting warm, and she's right because it for the beginning of March. It wasn't that warm at nights. I still went to bed with covers, and now I'm kicking them off, right? So you can definitely feel the change in temperature. So maybe that is why you're now getting the fires increasing. But it's been definitely cooler. So typically they're 30 to 40, but for this period, well, based I guess on your stats, this period has been much lower.
Yeah, at this point in the month, we're at the 17th?
Yes.
The 17th.
Normally in previous years, we would have already gone up to like 20, 30 something fires by now. The numbers are really low this time around.
Okay. Where are these fires occurring though? I've seen you guys blazing down the road, and the funny thing is, whenever I see you guys blazing down the road, I automatically think house, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go to brush fires, but we know it's something that actually exists. And so automatically I'm like, oh Lord, who do some nonsense now? Somebody left a pot on, maybe a circuit blew something. I don't automatically go to brush fires.
And it's not only brush fires, we might be having our sirens going to you have accidents, etc.
That's true. Oh yes, that's true.
So your agenda items for today?
We were looking to talk about fire prevention. Prevention when it comes to businesses and also residents. How persons can prepare for that, etc.
Okay, let's go through it.
All right. So the fire department, we are heading towards, we are in a more proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. In the past, it has been, something happens, then we jump to mitigate it, to extinguish, whatever fires, etc.
Right.
However, what we are doing, we are on a drive to educate the public, because we feel with education, it mitigates issues that can occur. Once you know what to do, you prevent it from happening before it happens. So one of the first steps in fire prevention is for us to go out and do inspections. And what we are asking businesses, and even for residential homes, come to the fire department, have us come and do an inspection. We would go and these are some of the things that we are looking at. We are looking at your exits. If the exits have proper signage, exit signs, fire extinguishers, this piece of equipment plays a very important role. It is an equipment that you can extinguish a fire very quickly, especially a small fire. We don't typically use them for large fires, small fires. So you catch a fire in its incipient stage, its early stage, you can grab an extinguisher and extinguish that. we look for signage of extinguishers as well. So where an extinguisher is placed, there should be a signage so that if someone is not familiar with the place, then they automatically or instinctively would see where the fire extinguishers them are. Smoke detectors. We cannot stress enough that smoke detectors save lives. So we prefer an institution to have a smoke detector that is integrated within a system. The battery operated ones, you could leave that for your home, but especially for businesses that are not manned 24 hours, you can install an alarm system, have that smoke detector integrated into your alarm system, because when at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when you close your business, no one is there. And a fire breaks out while you're away at home, then it's only when persons from the outside might see smoke coming through the windows, etc., or they might even see the blaze. That is when they know, hey, something is happening within the building.
At that point,
but
it's probably too late.
Exactly, because with the battery-operated ones, no one is in the building, no one is going to be there to hear that alarm going off, the smoke detectors going off. So we encourage persons get one that is integrated into a system. We also look at strobe lights. Now, strobe lights play a very important role. We have persons within our federation who might have challenges in terms of hearing. So where you cannot hear the alarm, that strobe light that will be flashing is there to let you know that, hey, something is wrong. I need to exit the building. Also to pull stations. Pull stations is a part of the alarm system where once you pull that alarm, it is triggered throughout the facility. And then everyone would be able to know simultaneously that an incident is happening, we need to evacuate immediately. Two other important components. We need persons to know that it is important to have emergency numbers placed in your establishment. And these emergency numbers, I could list out a few, but they are not limited to that. So, for example, the fire department, police department, the electricity company, disaster office, whether it be NEMA or NDMD over at the Nevis side, the hospital / EMS, water department, the gas companies. These are important companies to have on your emergency contact list. Fire stations as well, that's the last one that we'll look at in terms of what we look at inspections. Fire station, you might think, hey, we're not talking about where we just came from. All right. Fire station is simply where you would have an area designated with a hose and a standpipe, etc., for you to be able to. Someone who is trained by us, of course, would be able to start to extinguish the fire if it's a pretty sizable one before we arrive. Mr. Williams?
You're saying all of these things and you're encouraging businesses to do that. And something that occurred to me is that what if persons aren't necessarily compliant? Do you guys go around and do random inspections? Is there a way to enforce them? I mean, yes, it's for their benefit, but it's also for everyone else, because what if I decide that I want to implement this in my business, but my neighbor can't be bothered? And then that puts my business at risk. So is there a way for you guys to enforce this? Do you guys?
Well, we are currently working on stronger enforcement of doing inspections or having the general public comply with our recommendations. And so sometime in the near future, you would see some strong regulations coming out.
What I would add to that, though, outside of the whatever regulations we have, the labor department has regulations where these companies has to comply. So even if we go and do an inspection and say, hey, you need a fire extinguisher, they had better get a fire extinguisher, because if labor department comes to your establishment and you don't have that, labor department tell you shut down until you get it done. So what happens, you find that we work in collaboration with labor department. There are some times where labor department goes and do their inspections and they realize that there's no fire prevention mechanism in that establishment. So the labor department would reach out to us, or would have the owner of that business come and see us and request an inspection and have all the necessary mechanism put in place.
Good.
Otherwise, they run a risk of being basically shut down.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now it's just a tight collaboration
Right.
between us and
Labor Department.
And that's good to know. Now, does the same thing apply for residents? Because I know you specified the difference in smoke detectors for offices as opposed to residents. And I've always heard, but I've never really found the regulation or the proof that you're not allowed to just light a fire in your yard as you want to. But this morning I woke up, my house was smoke filled. I have no clue where the smoke was coming from. So clearly persons are breaking whatever law exists. What do you guys do about things like that? Because sometimes it's really overbearing. But if you can't tell where the smoke is coming from, or do you guys rely on persons to report and say, hey, my neighbor has a huge fire in his backyard. Can you guys come do something about it? How does that work? And how are you guys clamping down on stuff like that?
In most cases, that is what happened. We respond to reports because, we would not know that there's a fire in the area. And persons make calls and they report whatever, smoke or whatever it is bothering them. We go to these people and we meet them and we basically tell them what's the proper procedure for that. What we do not do, we do not allow burning. It was something we used to practice, but we realized the effects it has based on health and also the environment. So we basically cut that. There are times where we allow it under certain circumstances, but it is never allowed in residential areas. Never ever allowed in residential areas for those type of reasons. And it's only when we get reports we find out how many persons actually suffer from asthma.
Guilty. I'm one. Yeah. That's why I can tell you. I'm the first person in my house, one of the first, because I have two other sisters with asthma, that will tell you smoke.
Yeah.
I smell it before anyone else. So when I woke up this morning, I could have barely drew my breath. I was like, who in God's name at 6 something have a fire going on?
I know.
Right, but do you guys have fines attached to it or something?
Well, what we do, if it's a case where the person is not complying, we get assistance from the police. Because I believe there's a charge for that on the police side. So we would get police on board because we do not have anything on our side to make any arrest. In that scenario, we do have powers of arrest, but only in special scenarios where someone is preventing us from performing our duties. We can arrest that person, but outside of that, we do not have anything else. So we have to rely on the police for assistance. But I can honestly say, most persons, once we tell them that they can't do it, they normally stop. Only certain instances in certain areas where a person would do it because they feel like they're not really surrounded by much, houses, so they would take those type of chances. But in most cases, after we would have explained to them why you should not do it, they normally comply.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So are you guys going around now checking businesses, or are you just using this as a forum to say, well, get fireproof? Because I was actually making notes. I think I'm kind of guilty on some of them, so I'm going to be visiting you guys to get, things sorted in my office specifically. But is it that you guys are going to businesses, or you have a sensitization campaign? How are you implementing this?
Well, Mr. Martin, he is the guy head of fire prevention, but that's his field. So this is something that we have been doing for
Ongoing.
a long time. Well, we have been doing it for a long time, but we just basically put in place a unit at the department that deals specifically with fire prevention. So that's all fire prevention does. So in most cases, the business come to us. There might be one or two instances where we go and we say, hey, you need to get an inspection, which it should be done that way. Really, we should just go into your business, just randomly look around. We don't see anything. We say, hey, you need to get an inspection. No. The other thing is, I believe for businesses, insurance-wise, it is a necessity. It is a requirement, actually, for businesses when it comes to insurance. Because the last thing you need is to want to claim insurance for fire, and you have nothing in your establishment to prevent fires. So it's going to be a tough battle.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have insurances actually sending persons to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much for that.
9:47 now. That's going to do it for Fireproof for today. And once again, congratulations to the newly installed fire chief. I'm sure you'll tell us more about that on the next episode.
Hopefully.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
so much for sharing with us
If
today.
I don't have to attend maybe 6 or 7 meetings.
I know.
True.
Yes,
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Notice the preemptive excuse. But anyway.
But it's within reason.
Right.
I know. I just play.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your informative visit. And it's nice to see you guys. It's been a very long time.
Very, very long time.
Yes. But I'll definitely be reaching out for fireproofing.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Have a good one today.
You as well.
All right.
Awesome weekend, guys.
All right, take care.
All right.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hey kids, drink healthy.
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way. It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby, chubby. 25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun. It's chubby. Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed. It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby, chubby. 25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun. It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
And we are back in the remaining moments, remaining 11 minutes of Island Tea. That was interesting.
It was. I actually enjoyed it. And you know, I was just asking them if there are hot spots where those brush fires occur. And apparently they are. It's not random areas or different areas. They indicated that most of the brush fires occur in the same place every year, every time. So we definitely have set dry spots in St. Kitts.
But he had said to us a few weeks ago when they started that a lot of the brush fires actually arson, like guys who just love. You remember that?
That's why
people fire starters.
That's why when Candy was going through the whole questions and so I was so silent because like we've been through these questions before, but it's our first show.
But then everyone else that probably doesn't know that. There's no guarantee that the listening audience was part of that show.
because some of them were just so like, no, that's not a brush fire, you know.
Wow, I
mean
just
it's a
find
brush
that
fire, but
insane.
it's not like naturally
occurring.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But to their point though, it has been a cooler March. I mean, things are heating up because for the last 2 days, it has been hot, right? For the last 2 days, it has been really hot outside. But I like that little tidbit. I really didn't even give a second thought to the brush fires being set. I mean, of course, it's reasonable, but people actually getting up and going and setting brush fires? What?
Yeah, people get off on that stuff.
Insane.
Pyromaniacs.
Yes. Insane. But yeah, I enjoyed that short episode. Hopefully more businesses will come on board and get their places fireproof.
And speaking of the firemen, you realize I shared that the Carib Wave 2023 tsunami exercise. So
I did see
we're going to be hearing more about that. They spoke about that last week, but March 23rd is when they're doing it.
Last week?
Last week, I think, when I talked. Or was it the week before?
Candy wasn't here.
So it would have been the week before then.
No, it would have been.
Oh, they didn't have a show. Remember, we didn't have a show last week. That's what it was. It would have been
in February.
Yeah.
But they've had one of these before, right? They've had a tsunami exercise before, right? I think it was somewhere in the Old Road area. Was it Old Road?
I think
yes,
they do it
it was in. I think that one was in Old Road.
They do it
because I remember seeing
areas.
The NEMA personnel speaking about it on the news.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully they're gonna list the area because I did see that you shared a map, but I'm not sure up to what area that map is covering. I mean, it looks like downtown Basse-Terre.
It looks like Port Zante, right?
Right. It looks like downtown Basse-Terre, but hopefully we'll get some more information on the area and more persons participating. Because unfortunately, we are at risk for a tsunami if one ever occurs.
On a different topic.
We're at risk.
As lawyers, I want to ask you guys about this. This is what this was shared in the chat, and man arrested and charged for kidnapping and rape, and then it goes on to say a man from District A has been formally charged for the offense of rape and the offense of kidnapping. He was charged on March 14, 2023. The offense was committed on November 13, 2023. He has been remanded to Her Majesty's prison. Now, so my layman question to the lawyers is this a case where a case could get thrown out if the police?
Well, let's start with the layman version first. Obviously, it's a typo.
It's a typo, but I've heard of cases.
I don't think that would have been placed on the indictment. I'm sure that was just on the Facebook.
Whoever put out
but
the
I've heard of
report.
cases where cases got thrown out because of some mistakes made on police reports. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Right. So that's
where,
your question.
Where it wasn't caught, and then maybe it's in the, and then you have some of these crafty, wily lawyers who are like, well, Your Honor. It's not November. It's not November. It's March. It is clearly March. So we have to dismiss this case.
My goodness.
I think we're thinking in the extreme.
If you're saying that the police report is flawed, not just on the face of it, but flawed in like maybe evidence collected or the way it was stored.
That as well, yeah.
The way the evidence was stored, that would make it compromise and would give you like faulty results. Let's say maybe it was a rape kit that had expired or hadn't been stored properly and you can't test the DNA. Things of that nature.
So you're saying on a typographical error like that, you couldn't have a case dismissed on that alone. It would have to be some of those other things.
Well, first of all, I think this typo was just on the release that you're looking at.
The release, yeah.
We would probably have to see the actual report.
But what I'm saying, if that was actually on the police report, and nobody caught it, there's no possibility of a case being dismissed because of that?
What do you think, Azard?
I think Johnson is thinking that these cases are like, oh, this little thing happens and bam, bam, bam. I mean, for example, I've had situations where, you put out a summons and you might, you put a little error on it and they could ask you to come and just amend it before they send it out. So these things happen.
Okay.
But I mean, I just think that it was just on the Facebook page. Whoever was the PRO, whoever was dealing with the Facebook page making an error. We all make errors.
So if it's in the report, it's...
I doubt that something like that will be in the report, man. because you do your investigations and you know that it's not, this time hasn't come yet. I think people just making fun at it for what it is. I mean, I guess the police now are solving crimes futuristically.
But you're running from the
got it
point.
like that.
Well, I'm saying if it happened, because it could happen. It's a very small chance, but I could see it happening because you know how many times.
I mean, it's
take
human,
for
so,
example,
you know.
when a year starts, you're probably writing
Checks.
the previous year for like a week before you get into the flow of the new year,
right.
and you might not even notice until say, oh, you I mean, it might even be a case where the bank knows you meant to put thing, and they might even say, okay, she probably whatever.
Yeah, just come in and change it and
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying
So
if
Azard,
it
I think
happened,
what Jamstay is saying is that if that actually happens, do you think the case would get thrown out?
I think that they will go through and they will notify that there's a wrong date. If it seems logical that it's obviously a wrong date.
Okay.
If everything else is lined up at one date and you have one thing that just pits it off, I think they'll just
So
say,
Jamstay is over there hoping that the entire case gets thrown out because...
maybe I watch too much TV. I watch too much police procedurals like Law and Order, where you have these type of lawyers who, well, you have the wrong date. You have to dismiss.
I mean, I really, I mean,
I think they would
I
probably
don't
just
do
send
much
them back to
criminal
correct the
practice, but
report.
at the end of the day, I mean, you have the indictment. The indictment has to be correct because it's an indictment. Yeah, it has to be correct. It has to have the correct date. But I mean, I think even before you reach the like people, so many people are reviewing. So even though you make a mistake, you probably won't even reach the process of reaching the court yet before it's even looked at and made amends. But
okay. So anything else you guys want to talk about before we have what, 3 minutes? Anything you guys?
For me, I just want to stress the responsible use of social media. I know you've been going on and on about this commentary that you want to play, and so I sat and I listened to it. And
oh, you mean with Dwyer? We can do that next week.
right? And so one of the things I just want to stress is the responsible use of social media, especially when you're going to be going live. It makes me very nervous to an extent. Because when you're live, anything can happen, and so if you're not responsible with it.
What are you referring to?
You and just us being live, and the responsible use of social media.
No. But these things,
That's exactly
I would never play something on until I vet it. No.
Oh no! I'm not even talking about the commentary. I just get a little bit nervous when we're live, and we're not using it responsibly. That's.
Oh, I always
tidbit.
use it
That's my
responsibly.
tidbit
It
for
might not.
today.
It might not seem so to you, but I'm always. Trust me.
I
I'm always.
wasn't being specific. I was being very general.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering where that came from.
Let's always ensure that we're responsible on social media, guys.
Oh,
At all
absolutely.
times.
Absolutely.
That's my tidbit for today.
Okay.
And on that note, good
I
luck
want to
today
say
in honor of
everyone-
St. Patrick's Day. Good luck.
Yes.
I'm gonna plug that I do have St. Patrick's Day paraphernalia on sale. So yeah,
So,
Wonderful.
Where's the green bag?
it's right there.
Hold it up. Let me see.
But
let me
I
see
do
it
have
as a-
headbands
has her
and
green
on
bag
St.
over
Patrick's
here.
Day.
You afraid to hold it? Just hold it up. Let me see it again.
Where is it?
Because if I was
Chomp
thinking,
putting me on blast.
yes, there we go. Oh, nice. Oh my God, is that tea? What's that?
It's a Telfar.
Okay. Nice. Never heard of that brand, but then
Black owned.
You ladies. Oh, okay, okay. I'm here for it.
Telfar designer.
I'm here for it.
Beyonce actually was the person touting it, one of the persons, because everybody's into the Birkins and the Hermes and all of that.
Yes.
But this is a black-owned designer, and everybody's after these bags now, and they only release like on specific dates and specific colors.
I am here for it.
But one of the reasons why I wanted it was because it was pushing a black designer, and moving away from the stereotype of the Christian Dior's and the Hermes and Birkins and all of those. So
the next thing we gotta do is when we're living it up, we gotta start. You ever heard of Uncle Nearest whiskey?
Yes, I've
Yeah,
heard
Nearest
of it.
Green, who used to work for the Jack Daniels people, and he was the one who actually made the whiskey.
Exactly,
and
but he wasn't getting any credit.
And he wasn't getting any credit, and so now you have Uncle Nearest whiskey, black-owned whiskey. You have a whole bunch of them now.
Yeah.
There's a Florida company, two dudes. They do is it cinnamon flavored whiskey? I have the article.
Oh, wow.
We can talk about it next week. But
Definitely.
yeah, I'm definitely here for our people. I'm getting into the luxury lifestyle industry and doing.
It's about time.
Telfar, spell that. TELFAR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Jamster
Birkins.
said he wants a bag just like that.
They have for males, actually. They have for males. If you check out the website.
I do have a man purse, though, actually. I have a man purse.
You have a Merce.
I have a Merce. A Kipling.
They do.
That I got from a birthday
They do
one
hats.
time.
They do socks. They do shoes. Because they teamed up with Uggs recently. But one of the reasons I was actually intrigued, and it was my sister who was actually a blogger, influencer, the one that we had on the show, that put me onto it. Because Birkins cost they're like the cost of a mortgage. Birkins are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah,
and when you go to some of these stores with these high-end designers, based on sometimes your skin color, you're not really allowed in. So Beyonce and a bunch of other celebrities got on board, and they're helping to push this line. So it's becoming quite popular, and I like some of the colors, and they have this different names. And for me, I'm a fan of green. I like green, so that was my reason for getting this one.
Okay.
It's green,
Mm-hmm.
and it's black owned,
and it's different.
Yes.
And it's St. Patrick's Day.
And it's St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
so she's wearing her green.
A little tidbit.
Okay,
But
guys.
It's been
Well,
an awesome week with you guys.
Yes,
Yeah, it has been
it's
a week.
Looking forward.
You look
to
sleepy. What's going
Azard
on?
has been sleepy all morning.
I feel fatigued, man.
You need some coffee in your life.
What are you doing?
Yes.
Yes.
You're not taking you'll be eating properly, and you're going to the gym, but you've been taking.
I think maybe the workload this week has just been
okay.
Yeah, so
been intense.
Yeah, so
okay.
To
But
reboot
TGIF.
So you don't go to the gym on the weekend, right?
I go to the gym on the weekend.
So 6 days a week?
I took a break yesterday, so I guess
Okay.
I'll make up for the other days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but you
Maybe
need to
not
give.
about 6, yeah.
But
It
you
could be
need
about
to.
6
But
or
you need
5.
to. You need to give your body some rest. Let the muscles.
Yeah, they had their rest yesterday.
Okay.
Committed to the cause.
Yes.
I better watch it with this dude. He's gonna deck me.
You better behave then.
Gotta watch it.
It's either you're getting decked or a summons. But I know which way.
I'm a pretty strong guy, so he's gonna have to really swing.
Hopefully it's
to.
one of the days when I'm not here. I do not want to witness any of it.
I'll probably have to go to the summons area.
I don't want to be here for it.
You guys are killing me.
But I hope you guys have a good weekend.
Yeah, I hope you do too.
Thank you. Azard is gonna get rest. I'm gonna get rest.
Please get
Jamster is gonna
sleep.
get some. Jamster is always resting.
He owes me some soup from last weekend. So
After 9, he cuts off from every social media. We in the chat room after 9 o'clock. Jamster is
touching
out.
that.
Spin cycle is coming up now.
I'm out.
I swear, the island
No shade, no shade.
island teacher is always late.
No shade.
Listen, have a good weekend, everyone. See you guys on Monday for Island Tea.
It was fun. It was really, really fun this week, actually.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a long week. We did a lot of good shows this week.
Yes.
At least a tired Azard. It's still a fun Azard. Yeah? It's still a silly Azard, yeah. Okay.
Have a good one.
Okay, guys. Spin Cycle is next. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
Sardine have a new vibe. Brunswick sardine have a new Brunswick sardine fillet. It have a new vibe. You hear what me say? Run go to your favorite supermarket or corner shop and grab